he remembered her. Meaning he remembered her condition, and he was working out a plan for her barrenness. He remembered. Or you hear where Hannah remembered the Lord. All of her promises that she says she's going to do, that's important because God answered her prayer. Right? Remember, she asked God for a child. And she said, when that child is born, I'm going to give him back to you. Now, imagine your one child you asked God for, you finally get. And it was when she remembered the Lord at a young age, 2, 3, she had to give him over to the priesthood. I know that, right? That she had him now I got to give him back to the Lord. When Hannah gave Samuel back to the Lord, it wasn't figuratively. She really gave him away. And that's hard to do when God gives you something that you asked for, and now he says, now I got to give it back. So basically, she went barren. She went without a child. God gave it to her. Now she's going without a child again. All right? So that's a hard thing to do. When God says, oh God, I really need you to give me a car. I'm going to give you back this car when I get it. And God gives you the car, and now he says, okay, now start driving everybody around. I'm giving it back. That's where we stumble. Where we forget the Lord. When I give it to you, because you said you're going to give it back to me if I give it to you. I gave it to you. Now are you going to give it back? And we stop short of our end of the bargain. Not even the bargain. We stop short of our end of God said, okay, I answered your prayer. Okay, I'm waiting. Give it back to me. So she remembered the Lord. Okay? All right. So now let's look at verses 2. Remember the Lord. Remember your creator in the days of prime before the days of trouble arrive. And your years. I can read it in common English. And those years about which you'll say, I take my pleasure in these, before the sun and the light grow dark, the moon and the stars too, before the clouds return after the rain, and on the day when the housekeepers tremble and the strong man stoops, when the woman who grinds stop working because they are few, those who look through the window grow dim, when the doors to the street are shut, when the sound of the mills fade, the sound of the birds rises, and all the singers come down low, when the people are afraid of things above and the terror along the way, when the almond tree blanches, locust droops, and the camberberry comes to nothing, when the human goes to the eternal abode, when the mourners all around in the street, before the silver cord snaps and the gold bowl shatters, and the jar is broken at the spring, and the wheel is crushed at the pit, before the dust returns to the earth as it is before, and the life breath returns to God who gave it. All right, let me try to explain this as best as I can. Verse 2, this is, how many understands what's going on here? This is the stages of a young man getting old. The stages, and maybe let me change my version of the Bible so we can best go through this. Okay. When the sunlight becomes dark and the moon stars will grow dark and the clouds return after it rains. Let's stop here. When it's comparing the troubles of old age as a gathering storm. When you get older, it's a gathering storm. Both day and night are dark. Now it's not, now before you get all like, right? And here's it, when the rain falls, and guess what returns? It says the clouds returns. Normally, when the rain falls, the sun comes out. He's saying, now that the rain falls, it's cloudy. Right? And now, this is not just for older people. This is for every person in here. Maybe except, even Joshua. For every person in here. Yeah, you too. Right? When you're young, there's still time. Right? It's clear skies. But older age, you start understanding that you move from one trouble to the next trouble. From one thing to another thing. And what really it is, well, these two. I remove you two, but everybody else in here, over the age, everyone working. Work, have some responsibility. When you become responsible, when you have to now pay for things yourself, become responsible with your money, and you understand that person named Bill is talking to you, you understand now that the days where you can be, see, he's completely oblivious to the suffering or clouds that you go through. He has no idea because you have an umbrella protecting him from rain. Right? As parents, my son, or maybe even Mia, the older she is, maybe has an idea of the financial responsibility that goes into maintaining a lifestyle. In his life, their life, everything is sunshine. Everything's good. Food in the fridge. I could get a meal. Because you, in the middle of rain, you're protecting him. Until you move out. Or you start to have to build a life of your own. And you're at the beginning stages where you see it's pretty dark. Ain't that much sunlight as I thought it was. Life becomes extremely harder than I thought it was. But that's why children can run around skipping, because when it rains, they're good. He's trying to say, when you get older, after the rain comes, more clouds come. Any people that understand what I'm saying? You realize, like, again, I'm living at home with my mother. You know, you go in, you don't take into consideration how much goes into maintaining a lifestyle. Food, clothes. Remember, because all your money goes straight into your pocket. You're good. Now you realize, man, this is life. This is real. So that's why I want to make sure you don't put this in just an old person level or seniors. This is not a senior. This is an adult moment. When you become an adult, you start realizing you don't move sometimes from rain to sunshine. Sometimes it's rain, cloud, rain, clouds, rain, cloud, and every now and again you get a peak of sunshine. But it's back to rain, cloud, rain, cloud. With me so far? Amen. And so this is the part of life where things start changing. And all of us have to evaluate, the older we get, some of the dreams that we had at a younger age, we got to now update it. Because they can't match where we are. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to be a doctor. Yeah. Got to update that. Because you start realizing the time has changed. How many dreams or visions for yourself that you have to update because you don't have the time for that anymore? How many? That you thought, man, at 20, I'm going to be in graduate school and on my way to in medical school and all that stuff. So you start looking at how much it costs and the time, and you say, ooh, yeah, let me update. Like, I want to be a forensic psychologist, and I said, ooh, money, time, maybe I have to update that. Children come along.
Yes.
With me so far?
Yeah.
And we have to, this is what he's trying to say. Act decisively now, because as you get older, you're going to have to adjust your visions and your dreams and your wants, and you can be old and frustrated if you don't do that.
And then the thing is, Pastor, time is running out, and then we think we have all
Time.
the time
And here, another thing, not only for yourself,
for your children.
you got to update your expectation and your vision for people in your life too. Because we don't do that. We do it with ourselves, but not really. We do it, but we get a little frustrated and do it. That while I'm getting older, her vision for herself, I'm going to have to do it with my children too. Then I may want them to do something, and as they get older, they're not going to want it, and I'm going to have to update my expectations for them too. As a parent, because if I don't adjust, then I'll be frustrated, and every day will be cloudy for me. Every day. And so what he's trying to say is understand, remember this, as you're getting older, every person in here, that's what we move from. We move from, it was kind of depressing, rain to clouds. It gets darker. It is. But it's the reality. And I'd rather you be real about it, and I accept it and make the adjustments where you don't tell me and it shocks me.
Suppose that there are more clouds than sunshine.
As you get older, I believe, not to be sad, or maybe it is that we don't remember how many sunny days, because the cloudy days are so difficult. Right? Now, if I could tell you a point, if I could right now, you to pull memories right now, the first memory, pull the sunshine days and then pull the cloudy days. I bet you could pull your cloudy days faster than you can your sunny days. So maybe it is the details or the feel or the weight of the clouds that makes you forget how sunny things were or is. Maybe that's what it is.
Amen. Amen.
And will you say that again?
Duration.
And the duration. That's what I was about to say. Duration. And where you are in your life. You know, your age and where you are. Right? Right. The duration of the clouds.
So when you are in my age.
Any age, though.
Yes, but my age, Pastor, you look at it and say, what did I do to reach there? And the dark clouds are here.
But you still at least have more. Well, you probably have more clouds too. We have more sunny days too.
Yes, but sometimes you not even remember the sun. You just remember the dark. And then you feel frustrated over the dark. And so why did I, how can I reach, why did I reach there?
Absolutely. That's why you remember. That's why you remember the Creator. You act decisively now. That's why. It's sad, but at the end, we'll get to where he's trying to get us to. Okay? So, remember your Creator. The Bible stresses, why do you think the Bible stresses remembering so much? Why it's all over. It's in Deuteronomy. It's throughout the Bible. Psalm says it. Why do you think the Bible stresses remembering so much?
You tend to forget as human.
That's right. And what got us to the way we are. God is not doing this for himself. God is not saying, remember me, remember me, remember me, because God is a narcissist. And he has a big ego. God is doing it because you are. You're a narcissist, which means you're self-aggrandizing. You're you self-pollute.
And don't remember him.
And don't remember him. So when he screams out remembering, he's not doing that from himself. He's doing it because you're quick to forget God. You're quick to forget him. And so he has to put things, he screams out, remember me! Remember me! I was reading when he talked to the children of Israel when he was about to take them into their blessing, and you're about to inherit this blessing. Listen, when you get houses that you didn't build,
Yes.
Remember me.
land that you didn't plow. Basically, 'cause some of us say house we didn't build, and we shout over it like, that's basically inheritance. You're inheriting something. House you didn't build is an inheritance. Lands that you didn't plow, that's there. You are moving into a land that God is pushing people out of and giving to you because you're inherited. Don't forget me when you inherit all this blessing, because blessings tend to make us forget. Blessings comes with a curse too, and the curse is forgetfulness. Can I put it in Jamaican vocabulary, vernacular? Rich and switch. You get rich and switch. All right. Go to Titus quickly, because I don't want you to think that age comes with still usefulness. Useful, not maybe youthful, but it comes with usefulness. You can still be used, right? Because I don't want you think that, what is life then? No, that's not what he's trying. That's not. Turn to Titus 2. Titus 2, 1 to 8. And then we're going to get to what I really wanted. Well, I want to talk about all this stuff, but what I really want to talk about. Titus. Okay, so he gives us what usefulness looks like in our maturity. All right? Titus 2, 1 to 8. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. All right? That the aged man be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior and become holiness, not false accusers, not given to too much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women, be sober, to love their husband, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husband, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Young men, likewise, exhort to be sober-minded. In all things, showing yourself a pattern of good works. In doctrine, showing uncorruptedness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of a contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. So, even in our old age, he gives us sound doctrine in what we can still provide to the next generation. that there's still use for us. Right? That your cloudy days are useful for me because it teaches me how to prepare for it.
Amen.
You understand? So each of us, that's what I'm saying, although you may say, man, I wish I can go back. You can mentor me so I know I don't have to find myself where I can turn from this. I can learn from where you fell. And you will get encouragement that you saved me from the fall. Right? Any person that is older that takes joy in somebody falling where you fell, something is really wrong with you. Your joy and comfort is that you succeeded wherever I fell. That's what I want. Wherever I fail, I want you to succeed. That's what adulthood is. You don't fall where I fell.
Yeah.
You're able to stand where I sat down. And I can live through your testimony because I can say my experience, my mistake helped you. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing. And that's what you do. You take hold of that. Which is going to lead us into where we are right now. Okay? This next part of because the teacher or the preacher did not do all this teaching for himself. Every student, you know why we do this? Every student, while you sit in class, is because one day you're going to be a teacher. You teach students because eventually the student will be a teacher. And he gives us the template of how we should be teachers. Are you with me? All right. So we get to verse 12, verse 9. Verse number 9. Right? The tone changes in verse number 9. All right. He is now, the teacher steps out of his role and now he reflects on everything he did in the book. Everything from chapter 1 to now, he's reflecting on everything he did. Right? Now, it looks like he's congratulating himself, but he's not. He's looking back. And now he is showing you or telling you everything I'm learned, here's what I'm giving my future generation. This is what you learned it already, but now I'm showing you and telling you exactly what I was doing by giving you this information. All right? He's looking back in order to teach the students how to go forward. All right? So now he is bringing this entire journey to a conclusion. Everything that we talked about from verse 1 all the way to chapter number 12, he's bringing it into conclusion. It's rare that you get to do it. He is looking at from childbirth to death. I'm appraising. You know appraisal? You know how much it costs? Your appraisal of a house, the worth. He's looking at his life from childbirth to death or to his age right now, and he's appraising it and saying, I'm giving you all this wisdom. Here's what I come up with. Okay? It's important. So what we learn then is, I think we have to pick up traits from this teacher where we can add to our own personal lives, right? That we need to add to our own personal life. All right. So the first thing he says, the teacher was wise. He gave knowledge to the people. He tried out many proverbs. He thought about them carefully. Then he wrote them down in order. He did his best to find out just the right words. And what he wrote was honest and true. Now, Sunday, see, last week, Tuesday, this is what it was going to lead into Sunday. So I planned it out so I can talk about this on Tuesday, so that Tuesday when you heard Sunday, you'd be like, oh. But now it's going to happen in reverse. So you're going to hear, right? So the teacher, one thing you have to do with your wisdom that you can't be. He tells you what you cannot be with wisdom. You can't be selfish with your knowledge. Can't be selfish. If you have wisdom, you can't be selfish with it. So he's teaching you how to treat. He's teaching you how to teach. What he says in verse number 9, the teacher was wise and he gave knowledge to the people. When you get, Mother James, when you learn wisdom in life, give it. It is valuable. So, it's better than money. And the best way to give it is that you have to remove pride, because some of us would only teach the good parts of our life and leave out the bad. And most of the time, it's the bad I need to hear more than the good.
Yes, I know.
There's more jewels in that.
Yes. That you don't fall in.
There's way more jewels in your suffering than in your success. Okay? So the first thing, why teacher is wise? He's wise. His desire is to leave as much information for the generation behind as he can. I want to leave as much of information for those coming behind me as I can. And you don't need a platform like mine to do that. You don't need to have a mic. You don't need to be a pastor. You don't need to be an evangelist. I don't think we're online. Are we online, Sean? You probably are. Okay, fine. All right? Because sometimes we operate in those things and they could be highly overrated. Right? You don't have to do Mother James. You're James, Sister James. Right? Whatever the first name. See, I've called you Sister James so long. Whatever you have wanted to call you by your first name. That's the title you work in. Okay? As much information you find. All right? Now, second thing he did. He thought about them carefully. Everything he did, he tried out many proverbs and thought about them carefully. He considered everything wise that he been through or that he heard. He weighed them out and considered which was the most important. That he made sure this book was logically clear. Now, this is important. If you are going to teach someone, you have to be clear. You can't be jumble.
And honest.
I'm going to get to the honesty. But it has to be clear. You have to put it together. So that means he took time out to think about everything he learned, and he put it together for the next person. Right? He didn't use this moment to just throw thoughts together. Right? If you're going to be a teacher, you got to be a teacher that you are not doing things, just throwing things out wildly. You want to make sure you arrange them with care, because this is somebody's future in the palm of your hand. He carefully constructed it. He weighed it. He studied it. He arranged it. Now, if you was here first week, you heard this already. He weighed it. He studied it. And he arranged it. All right? He weighed what he had to say, he pondered it, reflected on it. He searched, studied it to know where to find it, and he thought about how to put it together. He weighed what he had to say. Why is weighing what you have to say important?
Because you can say the wrong thing.
You can say the wrong things. You can get caught up in your anger. He weighed it. And when you weigh your words, that's love and care. We ended Sunday talking about being honest, and sometimes one of the things that we think that being brutally honest is the best way. And it's not. Because brutally honesty can be brutally offensive. Unnecessary. Although it's brutally honest, it can be brutally offensive, and it can do more damage than good. You know how you change brutally honesty? How you don't make brutally honest become not brutally offensive? Love. Love, when you are doing it in love, it teaches you to be patient and creative with what you have to say. Because there's patience in it, because your response is important to me. Because I'm not trying to break you, I'm trying to build you. And most times, we can't get the response we want because we didn't weigh the words that we had to say.
Yeah.
Part number 2. Listen to what he says. Then I wrote them down in order. He did his best to find the right words. Look at the verse number 10. The reason why I'm stressing this is because you can find people that are not listening to you, and they won't learn anything from you, is because you're not weighing your words carefully. They're all scattered, and you didn't take the time to find not just any word. What your Bible says in verse number 10? He did his best. What your Bible say? Verse number 10.
The teacher searched to find just the right word.
Okay. What did he do?
Search.
He searched to find the right words, which means saying the right words takes time. You have to search for them. That is so vital in anyone taking information and from you, that search. You can't just say what you want, because saying what you want doesn't always get you the right words. You know why it's the right words? He used the right words because he understands if I say the wrong thing, they will turn off. So he wrote this book with the right words so that while we are reading it as the reader, it's appealing to us and we want more. Right? When you read Ecclesiastes, you're like, oh, I want more of this. It's a great book because he searched for the words to grab your attention. Now, what are you trying to do? Are you targeting their attention or their attitude? What do you want? Are you trying to get them to listen, or are you trying to get them to feel hurt? Well, should be. And we don't put that in consideration sometimes when we are talking, because our main thing is to get what we have off our chests. And not understand, are we trying to get them to learn or trying to get them to be heard? Learn. He searched for the right words. He did his best. And he wrote was honest and true. I'm going to search for the right words, but I know I'm not going to lie. You can have both. You can say the right things, and it will be truthful. Because sometimes you say, oh, you're sugar-coated. No, you ain't sugar-coated. You got to learn how to say the same thing 15 different ways, and every audience is different. For my children, I already know I have to have 5 different messages. Because what works for me, it ain't going to work for Taylor. And what works for Taylor ain't going to work for Carter. And what works for Carter definitely ain't going to work for Paige. And what works for Paige ain't going to work for Carter. My approach has to change because I can't try to fix them all in that box. And as a teacher, I know which students you might be more visual. You might need me to illustrate. You might need me to write it down. All of us have different learning patterns that a teacher has to say, this may work for Mother James, but it won't work for Elder. Search for the right words and make sure they're true. Honest and true. With me so far? Yes. All right. Because what you're trying to create, right? Found the right words that can spark their interest and their imagination. Find the right words that can spark their interest and their imagination. And when I talk to you, what you want the hearer to get lost in your experience. I want you to get captivated by my experience. That you take the time and you think about, you're not thinking about yourself, you're like, oh man, I can see what he's trying to say. You understand? You know how I know you understand? Because I can feel you. We've made a connection. That's what you want.
Connection.
You want a connection where it's deeper than just what I'm saying. You are now going through your life and you're figuring out, oh, I should apply that here. The right words. Teachers connect to their students. Good teachers connect with their students. They capture their attention. So I made sure, I put that in my notes one more time. Search for the right words, people. Search for the right words. Search for the right words. Create the right tone for them not only to listen, but also for them to learn. Create the tone. You create the tone for listening and for learning. Work on that. Well, we already do the less lies. So we got the honesty. But now, your next thing is now working on not just the honesty, but work on the tone that creates them listening. Have you created a tone that turns people off? That's what and then you can say, oh, but I was honest, but they're not listening. Right? Because most times we worry about the honesty and not worry about the tone. The tone of your honesty is everything. Right? Because most times you hear, Pastor, but I told the truth. Pastor, I'm telling this, but I told the truth, Pastor. Listen, this is the truth. And I would say, yes, but they're not trying to hear me. And then what happens is that you're answering your own question. You're answering your own basically question, like, listen, I told the truth, and they're not hearing me. And you're saying exactly what the problem is. You gave them truth, but you haven't given them the right tone. And I can't hear truth in the wrong tone. Right truth, wrong tone. You know why people believe lies? Why scammers are so true? Why so believable? Because they create the right tone to tell their lies. Yes, it's true. Jesus mastered not only truth, but he mastered tone.
And necessary for the occasion which he spoke. they heard him.
Yes. Yes, she slept. Yes, she has 5 husbands. Yes, she slept with, but he without sin cast the first stone. Truth with tone. I'm not judging you. I want you to judge yourself. I'm not going to say you have sin, but I'm going to say if you don't have sin, if you are sinless, throw the stone. Go ahead, be my guest. I'm not going to tell you to stop. Don't throw it. I'm just going to ask you, if you don't got no sin, then you can throw it. Be free. Now, I know there's some people that just rude, in our day would be rude and be like, I don't got any. You know some people will lie and be like, Lord, I don't got no sin. I ain't sin. But he created the tone where he wasn't the judge. They were the judge. He said, you can throw it. But first you got to say, if you have no sin, pick up the rock and throw. And they self-judged themselves and said, you're right. Because it wasn't only truthful, he created the right tone. And it requires you search. Search your attitude, search your personality, not only yours, but theirs too. What are their points that I know I have to get to for them to hear me? How do I already know the tone of voice that I know that the Calvary has, where I have to preach in a certain tone, in a certain way, or, because if I came one day and spoke like that, you are not going to hear me. If I did that, you'd be like, well, Pastor, if you came here with that, trust me, I'll be like, right?
Yeah.
So I understand the tone.
Yeah.
I understand the level of your imagination, and I understand your learning level, and I have to adjust to that, right? I have to adjust to that. And you do the same. You understand. Most of us know already, if I say this, they're going to reject it. If I say it raw. No, you don't come and give me a box of raw meat and the third I eat this. You don't do that. You cook it. You season it right. Bake it, and it's still the same steak. You took the time to prepare it, and you prepped it. And if you can prep your meat for us to eat, you can prep your words for us to eat it as well.
You love steak pasta?
No, not really. My wife does. But I just want to throw that out there. I'm a chicken. I'm black too. I'm black to the core. I love chicken. I'm a chicken. My wife is a steak. Okay? But if you can, right? No, you want to bake a cake. Right? Yeah, I'm sure you've seen that whole illustration with a box of cake, eggs, sugar, whatnot. No one comes to you and I say, eat this raw egg. Now pour the box of cake mixed down your mouth, then pour milk down your mouth and say, there you go, I'll give you a cake. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. I use the same ingredients, I pour it all, and I bake it. And it's all, egg is in there, salt is in there, but they're together, baked and prepared. So you can make a cake with the truth. But we tend not to. We just want to hit them with the egg, hit them with the mix, hit them with the flour. That's what he's saying. I've learned how to make cake so that you can eat what I have to say and it be enjoyable and it be the truth.
But what if you're saying it and it's not getting across? You think your approach is the right.
Mm-hmm. You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You wasn't being aggressive.
Okay.
At one point you said it, so you think you did it the right way.
Right.
But it's not getting across.
How do you know it's not?
Because of the feedback you get.
The feedback. Well, because sometimes it's not always the immediacy of the feedback. It can take time. You know, you plant a tree, you put the seeds in, and you water it, and you're not going to see the immediate growth out of it. All right? And you can't scream at the dirt and say, grow!
Sometimes it's not the right time to answer.
Seasons, what I'm trying to say. You put the seed in and you water it. You can't scream at the dirt and say, grow. But you know, right? It's growing. It takes time. But we don't have that same patience with people. That's the problem. right? And we have to put our same hat that we have in the patience for trees and seasons of growth. We have to do the same thing for people, because you are now trying to change their mindset, change their form of thinking, and those things don't happen overnight. Right? Some people think their ways are the best ways, right? And they've been using it a long time, right? When you got saved, and God saved your life, and you had old habits and stuff, there was things you resorted back to. Your growth took time. God didn't scream at you, but we do that to people. And the same patience that God has, we got to sometimes take on the same characteristics. Not even sometimes. We have to take on the same characteristics. And let God have his, I hope did that make sense? Yeah. But we do that with people a lot too. We don't have the same patience. But with the plants, we would. We water it, put the sun, and every now and again, have you seen like a little leaf of change? Like a bud spring out, and like, oh, something is there. Not where I want it to be. There's a lot of growing that has to go on, but you maybe see a little green that stick out from the, but something's in there. All right. I finished up the rest. But the reason why I want to stop here, because I think I want to get into teaching and how we get people to respond to what we have to say. Right? For the next few weeks, if we can talk about that, how we be more responsible with our words and with honesty. Because the flip side, on Sunday, I may talk about lying, but I also want us to be more responsible with the truth. Right? Because there's a responsibility that comes with telling the truth. It shouldn't just be blunt and bludgeoning. I want you to listen, and I want you to learn. So I was like, how do I get children to respond to what I have to say? Right? That's the tone. How do I get the church people to respond to what I have to say? How do I get them to move in a certain direction? And he teaches us here, how do you get people to respond to what you have to say? Anybody want people to listen to what you have to say? And there's methods. And we'll talk about those methods next week, because it's layers. We all have layers. We have the earthly, fleshly level, then we have the mind, and then we have the soul. And in order for me to get to transformation, you got to get to the soul level. And that takes time. Okay? That's what transformation is. Nobody changes unless their spirit changes. Right? So you might be talking to them on a flesh level and see no change because you haven't gone to the spirit level, and that requires a deeper dive. You understand? Yeah. When God was changing our behavior, he had to change our spirit. Because the spirit of the thing, it's the spirit of the thing that has to change. Let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ. It's to have to change the spirit. So maybe what it is, we're talking to maybe the flesh level, but now you got to get a deeper dive on the spirit level. Because most time you change the spirit, change their behavior, change their actions. All right? All right. All right. That's it for tonight. There's a little bit of everyday, a little bit of parenting, a little bit of cooking. We did a whole bunch of a little bit of planning for the future, a little bit of weather, but it's all pretty helpful. All right. Anybody did that?